the TIMFD podcast. Today is my favorite day is about appreciating every day as it comes, no matter what life throws at us. We hope that this podcast speaks to you. And if it does, please like, share, and comment. Now let's find out why today is our favorite day this week.
Hey everybody, glad you guys are here. Hey, today I have Jason Finch, yes. And Jason is a person that is involved with Lowe's, and I'm going to let him talk about that. And you're going, why are you interviewing someone from Lowe's? Well, there's a big reason for it, and we're going to get into that because really the question is, what can Christians do in the middle of devastation that happens in our community? Yeah. And Jason, I don't know how else to talk to that actually understands it and has actually been there. So first of all, thank you for being here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And by the way, how many kids do you have?
I got 7 kids.
You got 7 kids?
7 kiddos, yeah.
You got a wife, Talia, that's just, she's amazing because she's taking all those kids.
She is, keeps it all together.
Yeah, she does. And so you have another one that just moved out, right?
Yes, one that's on her way out the door. Yep, she'll be going to Word of Life.
And is that going to be in New York or is it going to be here?
She decided to stay in Florida.
Oh, she did?
She did.
Yes.
So she's
sorry,
going.
That was too much of it. We love her. She's a great guitar player, and she's just a great person.
Yep.
So I'm glad you get to see her.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's that's a little more help for mom.
Yes.
To be able to transition her out.
Moving out, but not moving.
Oh, totally away.
Totally away.
Yeah. Okay, good.
2,000 miles away.
All right. So Lowe's. Tell us what you do in Lowe's.
Yep.
And then we'll kind of go from there.
So my role at Lowe's, I'm on the government sales team. And what that means is I help governments and nonprofits do business with Lowe's.
Okay.
So if you think about like government purchasing, just basically help them open the doors. And what we uncovered through supporting governments was speaking into the disaster space, right? So when you learn about governments and their function and their role, ideally, most of them, regardless of political affiliation, their overall idea is to support the community. That's their goal,
they
right?
Better.
So
yeah.
that's where kind of my role came into doing the disaster piece.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So I know this last year, it was wild. This last year was just a crazy time.
Yes.
For not only did we deal with hurricanes, but we dealt with a hurricane that then caused flooding and levees and dams broke and everything else up north.
Yes.
So when we got hit with the hurricanes here, was it Helen and Milton?
Helen and Milton. Helen was the big one. It actually came in through the Panhandle.
Right.
So landfall was in the Panhandle, but the damage, ground zero, if you will, was 400 miles away.
That's amazing.
In Asheville, North Carolina.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So we know that, and I imagine most people watched the news and saw this and were going, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is going on. The flooding, the disaster. So one thing that you guys do is do you go and assess? What do you do? Because you were out there seeing everybody doing everything. So tell me what you do.
So great call. So great question. So a couple things. I work not only with the federal government, I will get notified. So I'm on pretty much every major like national emergency service you can think of.
I remember seeing that,
whenever a disaster hits, like specifically to Florida. So anytime a disaster hits, we'll actually set up at the state emergency command center.
Okay.
And within those command centers, it's an incredible operation, but it has people from basically every type, everything from transportation, highways to, you've got different suppliers that set up there from an individual, anything again to support the community.
Okay.
So that's kind of what it is from that standpoint. And then what we found in working with that is all of the need of the nonprofits, the churches, and the nonprofit organizations to support. When you look at one of the big call outs, so when you look at our new administration, talking about reallocating funds from federal over to directly to states. What he's really saying in that is I'm allowing the nonprofits because they operate under the states. So like I think of Florida VOAD, volunteer organizations active in disasters. Okay. So that's really comprised of organizations like Florida Baptist Disaster Recovery.
Absolutely.
Organizations like that. So initially people kind of got that knee jerk like, oh my goodness, what are we doing? We're taking all the money. That wasn't the case at all.
Okay.
Because if you think about how much more fluid they can move.
Yeah, it's quicker. much quicker.
It is night and day difference rather than having to go through all the red tape
to go into a central location.
Absolutely.
It goes to the states to make the decisions and do the things that you do and move fast.
Yep.
So I know you ran into like Samaritan's Purse when you guys were out there.
Yes.
You saw them, saw the Baptist groups that were out there.
Yep.
But for you, I want to read a verse just so I could kind of go from this. It says in 1 John 3:17-18, if someone has material possessions and sees a brother or sister in need but doesn't help, how can the love of God be in that person, right?
Yeah,
in that
absolutely.
And so we're in the love capacity as a year thing here at the church. So when you went up to Asheville, because Asheville was really hit hard, and isn't that kind of where the Billy Graham stuff is?
Yes. So Samaritan's is based up in Boone, North Carolina.
Okay.
So that's kind of their home turf. So they were able to easily deploy and go into.
Is that why they were right there?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
They were. That's the other. So people don't realize proximity wise how close they were.
Wow.
So it was really their home turf. So it happened virtually within an hour of home office, if you will.
Wow. So because I remember seeing them, they were right there. It was like, wow, okay. Yep. They're moving faster, moving faster than the government.
Absolutely.
It was crazy.
Yep.
But did you go up to Asheville at all?
I did. So not only did I go up for the initial disaster, but we also went up to volunteer ourselves the week of Thanksgiving. Because to be honest with you, and you nailed it when you just mentioned that verse, at the end of the day, when we are as a family sat down and we're looking at Thanksgiving, we've got enough.
Yep, we do.
We've got so much to be thankful for. What can we do to help others who are in need?
Yeah.
And so we just felt compelled as a family. So I took my oldest teens and we went up there and volunteered for a week. But that's scripturally, that's so much what we feel and know and understand of what to do as believers. Yeah. Right.
You know what's funny too is I saw that Elon Musk even gave stuff out there, and he's not a believer of Jesus Christ, but he went out to
Starlink. You know how much Starlink supported?
No, I don't know what they did with that.
You think about all the power lines and telephone lines that were down. So there's basic things that immediately happened post disaster. Is there clean drinking water? There wasn't.
Oh, wow.
There wasn't clean drinking water. There wasn't. How do I communicate with my loved ones? How do I reach out and let people know?
And this is in the Nashville
even just
area?
Call. Absolutely. Wow. It was blanketed. We had that issue with Milton, also in Pinellas County. How do I reach out and communicate with my family? Or how do I call 911?
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I do, because I remember when Milton hit, a friend of mine who I've known for a while, he couldn't get down here because of what all this happened. And his condo, he called me up and said it got hit. And he asked if I would go over there and at least open it up, see what the problem is, pull anything that's nasty in there. Mm-hmm. And so I went over there, and it was bad over that whole area. Yep. And I had to tear out carpet. I was tearing out big rugs, furniture that was just messed up, and I have to put it on the road for them. I mean, you got to do what you got to do for people, right? You got to help what you got to help.
Yes.
And so that's what you're talking about as far as just looking for the need. And in Asheville, it was weird because it wasn't just the flood of a hurricane going up there, but it was wasn't it actual levees and dams?
So there are over 4,000 bridges still that are unoperational or unable to be driven on. Over 4,000 bridges up there that have been destroyed to whether it be to a private residence or whether it be to a place of business. So all of that has to be rebuilt.
Oh my gosh.
The water rose, just to give you an idea, what was basically a creek that might have been, anywhere from 20 to 30 yards wide, rose 15 feet in the air. So you had people on the second floor getting flooded, to the second floor of townhomes and apartment complexes that were flooding out 15 feet above the water line.
Oh my gosh.
It was just, and the thing was, it happened so fast that there was no...
Was it because was it dams and stuff that broke?
Water shed off, coming off the mountains, and the water just came on them so fast, and it was just... It was more they can deal with. There's so many situations, and this may be a little sensitive to share, but one of the things, there was a medical organization, I won't divulge names, but there's a medical organization who makes a lot of medical supplies. Mm-hmm. There was a genuine concern that there was going to be a medical supply shortage because they had a complete and total loss of a multi-million square foot warehouse, and it was going to impact the entire medical industry across the U.S.
Oh, man.
And so there were thousands of people, both private and federal, getting them back up and running. And so these disasters, it doesn't just,
it could affect everybody.
Everybody, every walk of life.
So when you went up there initially and then kind of walked around, there was a lot of loss of life up there, wasn't there?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, so
there are to this day, and it's truly one of the saddest things in Asheville specifically. I firmly believe that every resident of Asheville either had family, friends, or knew somebody who passed away.
Wow.
The EMS teams have said there is mud covering potentially a couple hundred bodies that will never be found.
Oh, man.
You basically declare a loss of life and you say this person's gone missing, and you do everything, they did everything in their efforts, but the water had filled with so many toxins that you couldn't even go in the water to. One of the things that wasn't necessarily reported on the news was the water was so toxic that people that were working in the water, there were people that had to have limbs amputated because there was toxins in the water from them trying to help other people. That's the reality of how bad it actually was.
And is it still?
There's still,
because you have all those bridges
there's
out.
Still EPA level damage up there that they're working through. And, at the end of the day, listen, God is good. God is in control. We know that,
yes,
right? So,
absolutely.
They're doing everything they can to get it cleaned up, get filtration systems up there for water. They had gone months without clean drinking water. So a lot of, fortunately, there was a lot of private donors. You talk about Elon and a lot of private corporations, Lowe's, Depot, Amazon, Walmart, that was just pouring water in there just for residents to have
this was a
simple, glass of water.
So businesses were just piling things in there.
Absolutely, yes.
See, that's encouraging to hear,
Yes.
right? That businesses were putting stuff in there.
Yeah.
My thing for this coming up in this year, and we're about halfway through, but mine is, what can churches, large and small, do when disaster hits?
Yes.
So obviously here there was a number of us that were helping different people in Pinellas. I mean, it was just, you're just helping people right?
Absolutely.
And some we asked if you needed help, and they just went, well, right now the government's over there dealing with it.
Yeah.
And we went, okay. And they said, you got to stay out of it. So what can we do? We're up here. Let's say a disaster happens. God forbid it doesn't happen again in Nashville, but a disaster happens up 3 states from us. Mm-hmm. What things can we do as you went up there as a family? So tell me what can be done so we can prepare as a church and kind of go, okay, what can we do to get our hands in things or donate or whatever it is?
Yeah, so one of the things that always happens during disaster, whether it be local here in Florida or whether it be, like you said, 3 states away, one of the first things that can happen is you got to remember that the residents that have lived through that, there's a level of fear and anxiety, sometimes even PTSD, that happens from this extreme thing that occurred to them. Yeah. So first things first, in a lot of your faith-based organizations, IES Samaritan's Purse, your Baptist disaster, they'll lead with the emotional care first.
Okay.
Because there's such a sense of, so don't ever dismiss the power of prayer.
No.
We do that at work, even at Lowe's, that we lead with it's prayer first. Yeah. And don't ever dismiss that, it's awesome. Not important. So regardless of your age, regardless of your capabilities, even if you're homebound, you can always pray.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's one thing that God teaches, always pray. Second thing is work to identify, and there's a lot of different communications that'll put out things they need, i.e. clean drinking water. Just be careful, because unfortunately there's the opposite end of that spectrum where a lot of false donation sites get set up.
Absolutely.
Listen, it's an unfortunate thing. People capitalize on loss and disaster. So I would strongly encourage, partner with your local church and find out what organizations, so that there can be a vetting process.
Yeah, I know that we would work with the Baptist disaster groups, and we would work with Samaritan Purse that I know of.
Yes.
That we just said, hey, if we're gonna do anything, we're gonna work
support
through that.
them. Yeah.
So that would make most sense.
Absolutely.
Because you just don't want to get ripped off.
You don't. And it's unfortunate, but that's the reality of it all, right? There's a lot of profiteering in storm damage. That's a whole nother world. I mean, it's a big business. But when you're talking about the faith-based support, so first things first, obviously pray, be conscious of what they've gone through. Yeah. And for some people, it's long-term. So maybe they need long-term care because it's very traumatic to go through something like that. Then you'll go through the basic necessities, clean drinking water, getting your electrical restored, then identifying the needs. Is it clothing? Is it food? What is it that we can do to help you start to really rebuild?
Right.
When I think about Ian that happened in Southwest Florida, there was a large amount of retirees who had put a mobile home in Southwest Florida. Some people in their late 60s, 70s, 80s that have lived down there. The hurricane took out. Where do you go now?
Yeah, no
Where
kidding.
do you live now that your mobile home is gone and you've got maybe the federal, FEMA's going to give you, well, here's $5,000, Dave, and you're in your mid 70s and you're looking at it going, what is this going to do for me?
Yeah,
I just lost my home and all my belongings. Yeah. Where do I go now? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Unfortunately, and the truth of it, there are still thousands just in the state of Florida recovering from Milton. I mean, I think there's over 10,000 homes in Sarasota County alone.
Yeah, they haven't been
still damaged from Milton. That was September of last year.
That's insane.
That's when you think about it. It's like, and the funny thing is, you can drive through a subdivision, and on the outside, it looks normal. You go inside every single one of their homes, no flooring, drywall's been cut out, and it just, you're sitting at home every night in camping chairs,
My goodness.
Yep.
It's just crazy what has it and then that's where it seems so big. So we're a smaller church, and we kind of look at it and go, what do we do?
Yes.
What do we do? And you're saying for us, it'd be probably best to support a Samaritan's Purse.
You can support the larger organizations. Now, with Milton, it happened in such proximity to us. So kind of the rule of thumb is secure yourself first.
Yeah, that's what we did.
Make sure that you and your family is taken care of. Then from there, build out to your street.
Right.
Build out to your community and continue to build out. But work as a team. You don't ever want there to be a situation because it can be very dangerous just doing cleanup.
Yeah.
Cleaning up trees.
Oh, very dangerous.
Power lines.
Very dangerous.
Listen, that's very real thing. So make sure that you have a plan. We encourage them, when we have one here at the church, encourage to have a game plan.
Yep.
Does your church have a plan?
Yep.
Do you know what you're going to do?
Yep.
Maybe you're an older person and make sure the church has your contact information so that somebody can check on you.
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with having that because a lot of people in Florida, we know a lot of them go to church with us. Maybe their family kids live out of state.
That's exactly
maybe
it.
And some of them may not even have family or friends.
I was calling some of them up going, you're not answering your phone.
Yes.
I'm just trying to see if you're here. And finally they called me like 3 days later. Oh, I'm doing perfectly fine. I go, then why are you not calling me back? I mean, do you understand that I'm calling? There's a reason why I'm calling and why our teams are calling to make sure you're okay.
And it's funny when people, again, in that fear and anxiety state, some will almost shut down.
Yes.
And so
that's what
you
was
don't
going
realize until you knock on their door that they've been living inside there scared to death.
Correct.
And just they were so shocked they didn't know what to do.
So you're saying pray.
Yes.
Number one thing. So the prayer without ceasing, as we see in 1 Thessalonians 5, 16, 17, or 16 through 18. Pray without ceasing. I think it's verse 17. So that's one thing we could do.
Correct.
Second one is have a plan.
Yep.
Right? A plan personally.
Yep, exactly.
And then a plan for your neighborhood, and maybe a plan with the church, for a church, if you're a church, to have a plan.
Right, exactly.
So I know that for us, I'm the guy that's known for the guy with having the chainsaw in my neighborhood. Yeah. Because I live in a townhome community. Yep. No one has chainsaws in there, but I do.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, if we ever have an issue with the trees in our front gate area, I'll come over. I got everything, and I need other younger guys to help me move this stuff.
Yes.
But at least I can cut it and get it out of the way.
Yeah.
So we've already talked about that.
Yes.
I get that. But as far as the church goes, it's more of communication.
Absolutely.
It's about going, hey, guys, if you communicate with these people, if you communicate with these, do we have everybody covered? And we found out that we had them covered, and we found out there were some families that were hit.
Yep.
And the first thing we said, what can we do for you? Here's the funny part. every one of them except one said, "Oh, we got it taken care of." I'm going, "Okay, well, I mean, all right." And then I got a call from one of my friends, obviously, that couldn't be down here.
Right.
Helped him. So you would say the next thing is have a plan, be wise in the plan.
Absolutely.
Right. And then what else would you consider?
Don't dismiss your spiritual gift. And what I mean in that, some of us are blessed with the physical ability to go outside and cut trees.
Yes.
Some of us are blessed with the ability to maybe do some other kind of strategic planning.
Yes.
Don't ever think that just simply sitting with somebody and finding out, and again, through your local church, what organizations, what groups are out there, where are displaced residents gone? Oh. How can you minister? Maybe they're set up at it's Sickles High School right up the street.
That's true.
Maybe they're set up there.
Yeah.
How many times in your life, Dave, have you, when you were in a time of need, had a friend that just came and sat with you?
Oh, yeah. It's gigantic.
Just that.
Just gigantic.
Just helped you feel a sense of normality and just being there with somebody. So don't ever think it's not anybody can do. It's not based on physical ability. It's not based on, now if you've been blessed financially, listen, help them.
But just to be a listening ear and not to fix anything, just to be there.
Just to be there, just to love on them and let them know that it's going to be okay. And just that,
I'm here.
That's it.
Talk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I'm just kind of vent. I know that when we went through the death of our daughter, that was important just to have some people that just sat.
Yes.
Just sat and, we got to vent. Each one of us got to. And in these kind of tragedies that we have, and I think that you're going to, time is moving fast. So I do want to be able to ask you, there are hurricanes coming.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you've heard so far? Obviously, we know that predictions are just predictions.
Yes.
But we do, especially with the big businesses.
Yes.
If they are looking at things, if someone says there's going to be 16, or 20 storms, and Lowe's is going, don't worry about it. It's only going to be 3. We're just going to do this, So what is it that you guys are preparing for so we can kind of go, okay, if Lowe's is doing this, maybe we should be looking at this.
No, that's a great call out. So a couple organizations we lean into. NOAA is one of them. National Oceanic. Obviously, Colorado State University, believe it or not, has an incredibly robust weather program. So this year in Florida, we are looking at 16 named storms. 16 named storms. Now, these are 16 what they're projecting major storms. So it's not necessarily that we could get hit with 16. It's a numbers game. Because there's that many, maybe it only takes 3 or 4 to cause catastrophic disaster.
It took 2 of us and
exactly.
wiped everything out.
So our numbers are high. You can feel it in the air outside.
Yeah.
When you go outside, you feel how thick and how warm it is. Everybody's been saying, man, one of the things.
Stuart was out here. One of our guys, his name's Stuart. He's working out here. Gives all his time to help us. And that guy's a beast. But my gosh, today, he was done. By 1:30, he went, I'm done.
It is incredibly hot and humid outside, and a lot of Floridians, people that have lived here for years and years, they're feeling it. Like you can just feel
There's
the
more
thickness
moisture
of the air.
in the air.
And that's without getting into the deep science of it. That's when you get to the La Nina and La Nino effects that we feel. It's part of the weather patterns. And if you track back 100+ years,
it always does this.
It flows.
Yeah, it does.
So
and we just have a lot more people in Florida now. So those storms used to, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Oh yeah, we got hit by another storm. No big deal. Now there's thousands or even millions right there.
Yeah,
it's totally different.
So one of the basic things, and again, we talked about take care of yourself first. So have, whether it be canned goods, bottled water, the expiration dates on those are incredibly. The last thing you want to be doing is competing with everybody in the mother when the storm's at your back door. And I'm competing with Dave over at Publix to get that last case of water. Do what you can. And again, regardless, even if your financial means are low, try to do a little something every week.
That's what we do.
To help.
Yeah, that's
you know
what
I mean?
We actually have a pantry that always has a certain amount of water in it. It has to have that. My wife gets very paranoid if it's not. And then we have, our paper products and canned goods, and it's all sitting there in this one pantry. For an emergency like this, batteries, flashlights, even blankets and things. That's what we have always done. and prepared for it. And then we also do is we buy a home that's not in the middle of a flood zone. So that's another one we did purposefully. And so, being prepared would be a big thing right now.
Being prepared is huge.
Now, what's interesting is last year, I thought we were going to get through the hurricane season with not much going on.
Very late.
It was like the October.
Very late.
It was unbelievable.
Yes.
And they both hit around that time.
Yeah.
So right now we're in June. June is the beginning, if I remember right, of the hurricane season.
Correct.
Isn't it?
We are technically in hurricane season
and
now.
then it goes all the way till October and November.
But traditionally, most storms in September, like you said, leading into October. Yeah. And it's funny when you look at the national weather patterns, when you look at it as a whole, tornadoes, for example, what used to be Texas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, that entire tornado alley has shifted. Tennessee, Kentucky, they've already had over 100 EOC calls for tornadoes that have gone. So you're watching the tornado path shift. You're watching an increase in storm levels. So we're in a very interesting time from a weather standpoint.
Does this ebb and flow throughout history. It does this ebb and flow thing. And for me, I look at it and go, okay, well, let's be prepared. So preparation, let's go back over. So we want to pray.
Yes.
So
always
that's
lead
the
with
number one
prayer.
thing.
And I tell you, even at a company like Lowe's, we listen, make no qualms about it. We know and understand that for our own safety, we acknowledge God first. You want God's back.
Awesome.
You know?
Love hearing that in the business world.
Yes.
That's awesome. So the second thing you said is you have prayer, and then the next one was, I forgot. Sorry.
Get into self-preparation.
Self-preparation.
Self-preparation. And the cool thing is, maybe you didn't get impacted. You already got your donations then.
That's right. That's what we do.
If you didn't need your products that you set aside, canned goods, bottled water, whatever, boom, you got donations ready to go. So always be thinking about what I can do to help
last
others.
time, I remember, not last time, a long time ago when Charlie came through, I think it was Charlie, our church was all prepared. Everybody had all their stuff, all the supplies, all ready to go.
Yep.
And then the storm hit and wiped out a bunch of people down there. And one church that we knew the guys, and Billy and I knew the people in it. And we said, hey, guys, if you have extra supplies, let's bring them down there. We got our trailer and filled it all up and brought it down. And the devastation was unbelievable. Yeah. And we barely made it there.
Yes.
We barely got through. So we got through, dropped it off, came back, and went and did it again.
Yep.
Because our people kept on bringing supplies in because we had it all.
Yes.
Right? And that's a good way of helping the community out, or the state out, whoever, because it was probably 3 hours from us, 4 hours from us, but it was just wild to see the devastation.
Yeah.
So preparing ourselves.
So preparing yourself. Then you go into partnering with local church. Okay. Find out where the needs are. Lean into your local church. Again, the federal administration, that's what they're pushing that hard. They really want the churches and the volunteer organizations. Okay. So partner with your local church. Find out, from your leadership at your church, who are we going to be given to, what channels, if you got the financial means or you got the goods, or, maybe it's something that you have the physical health to be able to help. Partner with your local church, because I will tell you that that's the direction really it's going. To include, the states are saying, we need help from the local church. You do so much of a better job than we do.
So we're looking at and going through those three again. You can just go real fast through them. So and you could look at that camera over there.
Yep.
So you could tell them. So you're go through those three things real fast.
Yep. So we're talking prayer, always first. Self-preparation, make sure that your goods are taken care of. If you don't need them, great opportunity to volunteer them, or a great opportunity to donate them. And then the third thing is, if you're all set and squared away, partner with your local home church and find out what organizations your church is partnered with, because they will be getting the line on who needs support, who we're going to be helping, and it's collaborative teamwork.
I love that.
That's what makes it happen.
Love that.
Yep.
So that's what we want to do. So that's what we're going to do here. We'll make sure everybody understands.
Absolutely.
I love the three P's. That's awesome. And it's something easy that we can remember and get our teams on it and do that. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thanks for having me.
If we have if we go through this stuff again, I'll be bringing you back in so you can kind of help us on the. I know you're going to be all over the place because you were gone a lot.
So I spent a lot of time with the EOCs, and that's my role. But the cool thing is, everywhere I go, I take the Harvard Church with me. So, that's
right.
my job. My pastor would not allow me to go unless so.
That's right. He watches online and watches these
Exactly.
podcasts, and so now he's on it. Thank you guys for being here with us.
Yes.
I hope this was helpful. God bless you. Remember, today is your favorite day. Go out and be a bright light to someone else.
Thank you for listening to TIMFD, Today is My Favorite Day. Views, comments, and opinions are those of the host and guest alone. TIMFD is produced and directed by Alex Korn. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, live intentionally, and be very blessed.